Behold Makoto Yaori, the supreme cultivator who stands at the apex of history, facing down a legion of demons. With power that shakes the heavens, he single-handedly annihilates the Demon King's army, saving the entire continent from total erasure. As the dust settles, the hero lowers his guard, believing the nightmare has finally ended and peace has arrived. But the shadows harbor a different kind of monster. His trusted companions approach, their eyes shifting with dark, treacherous intent. Betrayal strikes faster than lightning. A blade pierces his heart, and Yaori is impaled by the very hands he swore to protect. Is this the price of salvation? His reward for saving the world is a cold, steel stake driven into his back by his closest allies. Fury explodes in his eyes like wildfire. He glares at the traitors, his mind refusing to accept this twisted reality. Crumpling to the earth, he chokes out a final question, why? With his dying breath, he carves a curse into their souls that will haunt them forever. I will drag you all to the underworld with me. Darkness swallows him. Suddenly, Yaori's eyes snap open to the sound of strange voices calling his name. A woman leans over him, concern on her face, but Yaori's mind is reeling. He should be dead, his soul scattered to the winds. He scans his surroundings. No battlefield, no demons, just a sea of students in a place he does not recognize. Disoriented and confused, the supreme cultivator wonders if he has descended into the underworld itself. A mocking voice slices through the confusion. Someone laughs at him for fainting during a test, sneering that he has lost his title of young master. A girl brushes past him like he is invisible. She calls out to Kitama, urging the star pupil to get back to the test and crush the record. Kitama turns, a mask of arrogance plastered on his face. He agrees with a smirk, drowning in his own ego. The teacher orders the test to continue. Suddenly, a torrent of foreign memories crashes into Yaori's skull. The truth hits him like a sledgehammer. He is no longer in his own world. He has reincarnated into the body of a boy who shares his exact name. This vessel belongs to a fallen noble, once part of a powerful clan. He was discarded like trash after his parents passed away. Yaori is stunned. This realm is nothing like the cultivation world he ruled. It is alien. It is different. The locals are ignorant. They have no clue how to cultivate inner energy. Yet, the air is thick with a mysterious power they call Chewy. To them, it is just air. No one here grasps the godlike potential hidden within this energy. But to the strongest cultivator, it is a feast. He senses the faint presence of chi and knows exactly the right technique to devour it all. Without hesitation, he begins the ancient breathing methods. The energy floods his veins, tempering his frail body with explosive power. As strength returns, so does his pride. He remembers the essence of his soul. He is a true cultivator. Boom! The blockage in his meridians shatters instantly. His bones shift and crack, his stature growing more imposing in mere seconds. Power awakens. He swears a blood oath he will regain his peak strength and tear open a path back to his own continent. Mercy's off the table. His existence now has one purpose, absolute vengeance upon the traitors who stabbed him in the back. But patience is key. He is currently at the first stage of cultivation. He must tread carefully to ascend once more. What better way to test this new vessel? He decides to use this school exam as his personal training ground to measure his gains. Yaori steps up. The teacher eyes him with pity, asking if he is well. Yaori coldly confirms he will run the 100-meter dash. Laughter erupts from the crowd. A bully jeers, pointing out he's up against Kitama, the untouchable genius destined for college. Kitama and his girlfriend join the chorus of insults. They sneer, claiming the fallen noble has lost every shred of his pride. Yaori tunes out the barking dogs. He analyzes his core. Only the first stage, it will have to do for now. But they do not understand. Even the weakest cultivator possesses potential that eclipses a mortal's wildest dreams. The bully continues to chirp, mocking him for challenging the record holder when everyone else fled in fear. Silence falls. Yaori and Kitama take their stances at the starting line. The predator and the prey line up. Muscles coil. Tension fills the air. The official raises his hand for the final command to unleash them. Kitama shoots a look of pure malice, eager to crush Yaori into the dirt. Bang. The starting gun shatters the silence. Kitama explodes forward like a rocket, but Yaori, he remains frozen at the starting line, motionless as a statue. A smirk curls his lip. The crowd erupts into ridicule, convinced the loser is too terrified to move a muscle. But in his mind, the math is simple. 3 seconds. he thinks. That is all I need to win. Whoosh! He vanishes. A sonic boom trails in his wake as he launches with godlike velocity, leaving everyone in the dust. The bullies choke on their laughter. The teacher's eyes bulge. The existence of a cultivator shatters the world's common sense. In a heartbeat, he blurs past Kitama. The gap between a mortal genius and a cultivator is absolute. He tears through the finish line long before his opponent even realizes what happened, leaving the entire school stunned into silence. Meanwhile, Kadama was left choking on dust, his jaw hitting the floor as he realized just how far behind he was. The spectators watched in stunned silence, unable to process the sheer dominance they just witnessed. To compare a supreme cultivator with a mortal is like comparing a god to a caveman. The evolutionary gap is simply insurmountable. It wasn't just a difference in speed. The chasm between their powers was as vast as the distance between the heavens and the earth. The instructor glanced at his stopwatch and nearly dropped it in shock. 9.88 seconds. A new school record had just been shattered effortlessly. Crushed by the weight of reality, Kadama collapsed to his knees. His pride lay in ruins, utterly humiliated by a defeat he couldn't even comprehend. Cold sweat drenched the loser as he screamed that it was impossible, his mind refusing to accept the truth. Meanwhile, Yamare calmly analyzed his vessel, noting that this new body possessed flawless physical aptitude. A fire ignited in his eyes as he glared at his rival. He silently vowed to the world that he would ascend once more, reclaiming his rightful place at the absolute peak. With the physical test concluded, our protagonist retreated to the solitude of the restroom. It was time to strategize his path forward in this new life. He calculated that breaking through the first stage of cultivation would require rare spiritual elixirs. But a heavy sigh escaped him. Those divine treasures cost a fortune. Checking his bank balance on his phone, the harsh reality set in. The previous owner of this body was destitute, leaving him with absolutely nothing. A plan formed in his mind. If he crafted spiritual talismans and sold them, he could scrape together the capital needed to begin his ascent. However, reality struck again, with only 1,000 yen to his name. He couldn't even afford the cheapest raw materials. Suddenly, a shadow fell over him, and a menacing figure blocked the bathroom exit. In seconds, the atmosphere shifted. A group of delinquents surrounded Yamare, their eyes filled with mockery as they circled their prey. Haru Asaki stepped forward with a cruel sneer, demanding the monthly protection fee ahead of schedule, with Kadama standing smugly at his side. Memories flooded Yamore's mind. The original owner of this body had been their punching bag, living a life of constant fear and abuse. Katama sensed a dangerous shift in the air and warned his boss, but Haru just laughed. The boxing club captain stepped up, convinced a loser like this was barely worth the effort. He lunged forward with explosive speed, winding up a heavy right hook. In his mind, the fight was already over with a single blow. He expected the old victim to cower and accept the pain. But the soul within had changed. The sleeping dragon had awakened, and he was ready to bite back. Smack! Our protagonist caught the fist effortlessly. Time seemed to freeze as the attacker stared at his blocked punch in utter disbelief. To a grand cultivator, the clumsy movements of a high school boxer were laughable. Yamare didn't hesitate, instantly launching a devastating kick into the first lackey's gut. Before the others could blink, he spun around and drove a thunderous fist straight into the second goon's face. Katama and his friend stood frozen like statues. They couldn't reconcile this lethal warrior with the weakling they used to torment. Our protagonist pierced them with a gaze colder than ice, asking if they knew the meaning of fear. Before they could answer, his hands clamped onto their wrists like steel vices. He applied pressure, crushing their bones with the overwhelming strength of a superior being. The difference in their levels was undeniable. Agonizing screams echoed off the tiles as they begged for release. Yamori merely smirked, his voice chillingly calm as he announced the party was just getting started. Broken by pain, they cried out their apologies. With a dismissive wave, our hero tossed them both onto the cold floor like bags of trash. Kadama curled up on the tiles, trembling violently as he pleaded for mercy, his arrogance replaced by pure terror. Out of the corner of his eye, Haru tried to slink away like a rat, but Yamare roared that no one would leave, charging at the bully with ferocious speed. Boom! A devastating punch connected squarely with Haru's face. The force was so violent it sent him flying across the room, crashing hard into the metal lockers. The so-called captain slumped to the ground, battered and broken, unable to summon even the strength to stand. Our hero loomed over them, warning that mercy would not be an option next time. Kadama looked up at the silhouette, convinced he was staring at a literal monster. The remaining lackeys shook in their shoes, praying he wouldn't come closer. Yamare's eyes narrowed as he issued a command to return everything they had ever stolen. The thugs exchanged confused glances, too stunned to understand the demand immediately. A dark aura flared around him as he reminded them of their theft. Terrified for his life, Kadama frantically agreed to return every single yen. As they dragged their leader to the nurse's office, Yamare knew fear would keep their mouths shut. He sighed, deciding that this mundane school life was a distraction he would soon leave behind. On the bright side, he had successfully reclaimed the funds the bullies had extorted over the years. With capital in hand, he purchased the necessary ingredients. It was time to take the first real step on his path of vengeance. He began the delicate process of refining the materials. He channeled his potent spiritual energy into the ink and paper, inscribing ancient runes that held mystical power. Beads of sweat formed on his brow as he maintained perfect focus, pouring his will into the final stages of creation. Moments later, he held the completed talismans, shimmering with colorful light. A satisfied smile crossed his face. These cards were his ticket to a fortune. However, reality was cruel. 3 weeks vanished in a blur, and our hero hadn't managed to sell a single talisman. Passersby eyed the magical items with suspicion, dismissing them as scams. Discouragement began to weigh heavily on his shoulders as his inventory remained full. Suddenly, a pained bark pierced the air. He spun around, his senses sharpening to locate the source. A small dog limped toward him, its body covered in gruesome wounds. The poor creature could go no further. Collapsing onto the asphalt in a heap of exhaustion, moved by the sight, he rushed forward to inspect the dying animal. But as he looked closer, he realized this was no ordinary encounter. Yamori decides to test the potency of his creation on a dying creature. He activates a high-grade healing talisman, channeling energy to restore the animal's shattered organs and broken body. Miraculously, the magic takes hold instantly. The dog's eyelids flutter open, proving that his cultivation arts are truly effective in this world. Under the golden glow of the talisman, the canine makes a full recovery and barks with renewed life. Our protagonist crouches down, smiling as the little survivor rubs against his leg in pure gratitude. But the peaceful moment is shattered. The dog's hackles rise, and it begins growling aggressively at a wealthy couple strolling down the street. These are the heirs of the elite, Shiwada and Shizuru Shuga. The young woman glances down, her eyes cold and indifferent toward the stray animal. With a wave of her hand, she orders her companion to dump the mutt at a vet, making it clear she has no patience for such filth. However, she freezes in her tracks. Something about the dog's condition catches her eye, leaving her stunned. Shizuru steps closer, demanding to know what our hero did to the beast. She explains with a trembling voice that this very animal was covered in blood just moments ago. She was certain it was a lost cause, yet here it stands, completely healed. Yamori's sharp eyes spot the medical paperwork in her hands. He asks a pointed question. Is she perhaps on her way to visit a hopeless case at the hospital? This is the golden opportunity he has been waiting for. With the confidence of a grandmaster, he reveals the very talisman that snatched the dog from the jaws of death. Shiwada scoffs, not believing a single word. He immediately accuses Yamare of being a dirty scammer trying to hustle a rich girl. The rich heir goes further, claiming Yamare must have run over the dog himself just to stage this act. But Shizuru ignores the fool, asking with intensity if this magic works on humans. Her mask of indifference cracks, revealing pure desperation. She begs to know if this item can bring someone back from a vegetative state. Our protagonist nods solemnly, confirming he can heal even severe brain damage. He produces a special, high-level talisman, declaring it the perfect cure for her predicament. Shiwada explodes with rage. He grabs the young woman's shoulder, shouting at her not to fall for such ridiculous nonsense. But Yamare completely ignores the loudmouth. He hands the mystical paper to the girl, calmly instructing her on the flow of spiritual energy needed to activate it. Then, it is time for business. He lists his prices, with the supreme talisman costing 400,000 yen and the lesser ones at 200,000 yen. Shizuru doesn't hesitate. She offers 1 million yen for the entire stock, leaving her friend in shock, humiliated and furious. Shawada lunges at our hero, screaming for him to get lost. But Yamare catches the attacker's fist with zero effort. The air crackles with tension as our protagonist warns the rich boy never to interfere with his business again. A terrifying aura flares around Yamare's eyes. He commands the guy to vanish, his voice dripping with killing intent. With a single, fluid emotion, our protagonist twists his wrist and slams the attacker into the pavement, completely humiliating him. The transaction is sealed. Yamare hands over the goods, and in a moment of generosity, tosses in 2 freebies, a barrier talisman, and a fireball charm. A smirk plays on his lips as he walks away. He casually remarks that he hopes she never finds herself in a situation where she needs to use those 2. Shizuru is overwhelmed with emotion, bowing deeply to thank him. But as she turns, she realizes she never got the name of her savior. Meanwhile, Shawada scrambles up from the ground, screaming like a lunatic that Yamare is a con artist who cannot be trusted. The young woman admits the story sounds impossible, but with tears in her eyes, she vows to do anything, no matter how crazy, for a chance to save her mother. Moments later, the little dog decides to adopt Yamare, following him loyally. With a pocket full of cash, our hero can finally secure a proper base of operations. But his journey is just beginning. His next priority is locating rare medicinal herbs to accelerate his spiritual cultivation. Suddenly, the dog barks sharply, alerting him to a presence. Yamare stops before a massive mansion that is radiating an intense wave of spiritual energy. Our protagonist is genuinely surprised. He stares at the garden, wondering what kind of heavenly treasure could be growing in such a place. His instincts were right. He spots the legendary silverheart grass, a potent herb for cultivation. Meanwhile, back at the hospital, Shawada is getting his bruised ego treated. Bandaged and bitter, he whines to the nurse, painting our protagonist as a violent thug who attacked him for no reason. Burning with humiliation, he clenches his teeth and swears a blood oath that the next time they meet, Yamare will pay dearly. Suddenly, a powerful pressure fills the room. An imposing figure stands at the door, glaring with disappointment. It is Kenji, the city councilman, demanding an explanation. He turns his icy gaze toward his daughter, Shizuru. He asks if she has truly brought shame upon their family by falling for a street scammer's pitch. Nurses whisper in the background about the heiress getting duped, but Shizuru ignores the gossip, standing firm and declaring she just wants to try one last time. Clutching the talisman like a lifeline, she steels her resolve. She tells herself this is the final hope, and she must bet everything on this miracle. Her father snaps. He roars that this charade is over, accusing his own daughter of completely losing her mind to grief. He cannot fathom that his bloodline would fall for such a fairy tale. Shizuru stares back, her voice trembling as she asks what he has ever done to help. The dam breaks. With eyes full of fury, the girl confronts her father, accusing him of abandoning her mother while she lay rotting in a coma. Her voice rises to a scream. She yells that if he had just acted sooner instead of worrying about his image, none of this tragedy would have happened. The final blow lands when she accuses him of heartlessness. She claims that if her mother dies, he will just continue his life as if nothing changed. Enraged, Kenji raises his hand to strike his own daughter, but he freezes mid-swing, his hand trembling as he glares at her with a mix of fury and guilt. The councilman lowers his hand, sighing heavily as he brushes invisible dust off his shoulder with utter disdain. Turning his back on her, he calls her insolent and lost. But Shizuru screams desperately at his retreating back that she will never give up, no matter who stands in her way. With steel in her gaze, Shizuru steps toward her mother's bedside. She clenches her fists, swearing an oath against fate itself she will never surrender until her mother is saved. Suddenly, the talisman in her grip erupts with power. A blinding azure light floods the room, causing Kenji to spin around in shock, demanding to know what sorcery is unfolding. Then, the impossible happens. Yoko Shuga's eyelids flutter open, and life returns to her gaze as she speaks softly to her stunned daughter. Tears stream down the young woman's face, her voice breaking as she cries out for her mother. Overwhelmed, Kenji sprints for the door, desperate to summon a physician. A beam of pure joy lights up his face. He roars down the hospital corridor that his wife has finally returned from the brink. The doctor and nurse freeze, paralyzed by the shocking announcement. Wasting not a single heartbeat, the medical team scrambles into the room to verify this defiance of medical science. After a frantic examination, the doctor delivers the verdict. She is stable and will reclaim a normal life in roughly a year and a half. Chizuru stares at the charm, the truth crashing down on her. It was the talisman's magic. As she watches, the paper disintegrates into dust within her palm, its divine duty fulfilled. Beside her, Kenji and the doctor stand with jaws on the floor. They scream in unison, unable to comprehend a recovery that defies all logic. The doctor stammers that it must be a divine miracle, while Chizuru casts a sharp glare at her father. Meanwhile, Shuada trembles in pure terror, wondering if the man who gave them this power is actually an immortal god. The tension breaks as the young woman collapses into her mother's arms. Through tears, Yoko apologizes for the burden of her long suffering. Clutching the remaining talisman tight, Chizuru makes a solemn vow. She will scour the earth to find Yumi and repay this life debt, no matter the cost. Miles away, our protagonist finally settles into his humble new sanctuary. Memories of betrayal flash through his mind, and he swears a blood oath never to forgive the traitors who wronged him. But vengeance requires power. First, he must shatter his limits and ascend to the elephant stage of chi refining. His eyes burn with resolve. The hour of retribution draws near. Yet, lying on his bed, he senses a grim reality. The spiritual energy of this modern world is withering away. To cultivate in this barren land, our protagonist realizes he desperately needs a catalyst rich in spiritual essence. He believed only ancient springs or legendary materials could suffice. But fate smiles upon him to his shock. He discovers silver heartgrass blooming right there in his room. This is no ordinary weed. It is a divine botanical treasure. Essential for refining elixirs that can skyrocket a cultivator's level, he immediately schemes to craft a potent pill and break through to the second stage. Time is of the essence. The guy decides his hellish training must begin this very instant. Stepping out into the city, he heads to the market, hunting for the supplementary ingredients required to complete his formula. Reality hits him hard. The price tags on these spiritual materials are astronomical, far beyond his current means. Our hero realizes that even hawking his precious talismans might not solve his financial crisis. Suddenly, his instincts flare. Sharp eyes detect the same shady figures who have been stalking him. They have shadowed his every move for days, but today, the air feels different. They are finally ready to make their move. Sick of being the prey, our protagonist decides to flip the script. He will confront these rats once and for all. Just then, a familiar voice calls his name, catching him off guard. A young woman steps forward, demanding to know why he isn't at university and what he's doing in such a seedy district. She presses him, mentioning rumors that he was exiled from his family home, leaving him no time for academic pursuits. Our protagonist searches the previous owner's memories. He recognizes her, the righteous classmate, who was the only one to defend the original host of this body. Pity softens her gaze, and she offers to lend him the tuition money. But Yamare coldly rejects the charity, stating he has urgent business to attend to before departing. Witnessing his sudden coldness and strange demeanor, the young woman becomes instantly worried, sensing a dark shift in his personality. Ignoring her concern, our hero ducks into a narrow, shadowy alley to deal with his pursuers. His eyes harden with killing intent. He prepares to wipe out the entire group of stalkers in a single stroke. He breaks into a sprint instantly. A thug wielding a knife bursts from cover to give chase. The attackers howl that their prey is fleeing, rushing blindly into his trap. The pack of wolves corners him in a dead-end street, thinking they have won, but suddenly, he stops. He turns to face the encroaching enemy, calm as a still lake. A devilish smile plays on his lips. He warns them that the hunter has become the hunted. With a taunting gesture, the guy dares the entire group to attack him simultaneously. Shedding their stealth, the full gang steps from the shadows, brandishing weapons with malicious intent. The gang leader grins like a predator, declaring that the real entertainment is only just beginning. With a gaze cold enough to freeze hell, our protagonist demands to know their master's identity. A bald thug scoffs, mocking him for daring to bark at the big dogs. The thug sneers, wondering aloud why the distinguished young lady of the Amatani family would care about a piece of trash like him. Yamori's mind sharpens at the name. He recalls that the body's previous owner was once betrothed to that very woman. It was a union severed when he was exiled for being a powerless waste. Enough talk, our hero decides to beat the answers out of them the hard way. Hiding nearby, his classmate watches in horror, realizing the notorious Yakuza have marked him for death. She knows his frail body cannot withstand an army of armed gangsters. Panicked, The girl fumbles for her phone to summon the police before it's too late, but she isn't fast enough. A shadow looms over her, and a thug whispers, "Here, kitty kitty," in a voice dripping with malice. The goon seizes her from behind. Our protagonist spins around instantly as her terrified scream pierces the alley's silence. At that critical moment, the true boss steps onto the battlefield, and the thugs roar with bloodlust. The nightmare has truly arrived. Without a second thought, the ruthless boss snatches the young woman by her hair, dragging her into the line of fire as a human shield. Yamori inwardly sighs, wondering why his classmate had to follow him into this mess. The boss sneers, mocking Yamori for being a player who seduced yet another little girl into his trap. Terror grips her voice as she screams for Yamori to run for his life. She warns him that these aren't just bullies, they are armed and dangerous killers. She desperately plays her trump card, claiming she's a daughter of the prestigious Makiyama family, untouchable by lowlifes. But the bald thug just cackles, sneering that if he buries her right here, her powerful family will never even find the body. Cold steel flashes as he draws a knife, ready to end her life in an instant. Her pleas for mercy fall on deaf ears as the blade inches closer. The attacker spits out a final cruel warning. If she wants to blame anyone for her gruesome end, she should blame her own foolishness for getting involved. But before the blade can pierce skin, our protagonist explodes into motion with godlike speed. With surgical precision, he strikes the villain's wrist, sending the knife clattering uselessly to the floor. A dangerous glint sharpens in his eyes. He regrets drawing attention to himself, but standing there and taking a beating, that simply isn't his style. A devastating punch connects squarely with the bald guy's face. The impact echoes through the alley as flesh meets bone. The young woman's jaw hits the floor. Is this really the quiet Yamori she thought she knew? The other goons stand frozen in sheer terror, their brains unable to process the monster standing before them. Our hero shifts his gaze, eyes cold as ice, and pierces through their souls. He demands to know once more who sent them to die here. Meanwhile, miles away, Officer Kaya receives a frantic radio transmission about gang activity. Shocked by the escalation, he immediately demands the criminals' exact coordinates. The dispatch reports a nightmare scenario. Over 30 armed men have cornered a single hostage in a dead-end alley. Kaya slams on the accelerator, calling for backup while keeping his superiors in the dark. A warning crackles over the radio. Tread carefully, because these maniacs won't hesitate to kill. Sweat beads on the officer's forehead as he tries to radio his partner at the scene, but only static silence answers him, raising his anxiety to the breaking point. After a suffocating silence, the radio finally crackles to life, claiming backup is no longer necessary. With a trembling voice, the officer on site stammers about the kid he mentioned earlier. He struggles to explain the impossible, that a single high school student has just dismantled the entire gang all by himself. The scene shifts back to the alley, revealing our protagonist holding the gang leader by the throat with terrifying ease. The bald thug cannot comprehend how the so-called trash of the Yamori family crushed him like an insect. With a gaze that promises pain, Yamori demands to know who leaked his location. He delivers a ruthless ultimatum. The thug has exactly 3 seconds to spill everything, or face the consequences. Pure terror floods the gang leader's veins. He screams in agony, begging our hero to wait, his tough facade completely shattered. Just as he prepares to finish it, his classmate screams for Yamori to stop. Police rush the scene, and one officer shouts desperately for Yamori not to stain his hands by sinking to their level. Our protagonist glances at the approaching sirens. He wonders if their convenient timing is truly just a coincidence, or something more calculated. He calculates the odds. Wiping out everyone here would be child's play. However, he decides that revealing his true, monstrous power to the authorities is a risk he cannot take yet. Releasing his grip, he lets the thug crumble to the asphalt. He steps back, choosing to play the role of a subdued student to avoid further trouble. The bald guy gasps for air, alive by a thread. Our hero muses that while he can crush gangs, fighting the entire government apparatus requires a different strategy. Officer Kaya arrives, breathing a sigh of relief, though his mind reels. He simply cannot believe one boy handled this entire chaotic situation alone. He stares in awe at the kid who took down an army of criminals. Stepping forward, Kaya introduces himself as a dedicated officer from Nume City Police. The classmate finally relaxes, a friendly, exhausted smile gracing her face as she greets the law enforcement. The officers exchange formal introductions, assuring the students that the nightmare is over and they will handle the cleanup from here. Our protagonist realizes the terrifying reach of the government. Their eyes are everywhere. Kaya mentions taking a statement, promising to keep it brief and irrelevant details off the record. Suddenly, a voice cuts through the air. Another officer announces the arrival of the chief, shifting the atmosphere instantly. An older man strolls in with a sickeningly polite smile, remarking that without his intervention, these thugs might have slipped away. Police Chief Onaga Kaizu steps into the light, but instead of helping, he declares our hero under arrest for assault. He flashes a warrant, glaring at the boy with a malicious, triumphant grin. The classmate explodes in outrage. She screams that they are the victims here, not the criminals who attacked them. Onaga looks at the girl with feigned confusion, gaslighting her completely. He claims he only saw a violent delinquent beating up helpless citizens, while the thug on the ground snickers at the turn of events. Kaya snaps, unable to stomach the injustice. He confronts his own chief, shouting that this accusation is an absolute load of nonsense, but the older man just stares him down, his voice dropping to a freezing temperature. He isn't joking. With a look that could kill, Onaga warns Kaya that his badge is on the line for such insolence. Consumed by rage, Kaya screams that his superior is nothing but a corrupt, despicable piece of filth. His partner desperately grabs Kaya, holding him back. He begs him to calm down before he destroys his entire career in a moment of anger. Yamori realizes the truth. This wasn't random. It was a meticulous frame-up. The chief mocks him, but our hero sees a silver lining. This is his chance to get close to the source. Sharp as attack, Yamori fires back a question. How did the chief know he was just a simple student without asking for ID? Onaga freezes, realizing his tongue slipped. Our hero smirks, understanding immediately that this chief is merely a puppet dancing on someone else's strings. A dark smile plays on Yamori's lips. Perhaps he should hunt down the puppet master next. Onaga plays dumb, barking orders for his men to drag the protagonist away immediately. Cold handcuffs lock around his wrists as he is led away into the shadows. Behind him, his classmate watches with eyes full of fear, sensing that the real battle has only just begun. With a devilish smirk, he flashes a trophy, a button swiped right off the chief's uniform. Unseen by anyone, Onaga freezes, patting his chest in disbelief, unable to comprehend when the theft occurred. Our hero's voice drops to a chilling whisper, warning that next time, the prize won't be a simple piece of plastic. Rage boils in Onaga's veins as he swears vengeance on the brat who humiliated him. Moments later, the protagonist is dragged into the belly of the beast, a dark holding cell deep within the station. Looming in the shadows sits a mountain of muscle, back turned to the door, meditating in absolute silence. Clang the guard violently strikes the iron bars with a baton, shattering the prisoner's focus. The guard announces the target's arrival, emphasizing that the client's request is specific. The giant accepts the mission to eliminate our hero without a second thought. As the protagonist is led to the slaughter, he calmly asks if this is where his execution is meant to take place. The steel door screams open, and he is shoved ruthlessly into the darkness. Stepping into the gloom, he finds two titans blocking his path, their eyes locked on him. With a fearless smile, he asks if they are the ones hired to take out the trash. His eyes gleam with defiance. He finds this desperate trap rather amusing. Yamori scans the threat in the corner, wondering if that hulking mass is the true boss. The giant speaks, claiming a code of honor. He has never crushed an ordinary civilian in his life. He continues his arrogant monologue, declaring that in his eyes, people like this kid are nothing but insects. A wicked grin spreads across his face as he dismisses the boy, deeming him too fragile to be worth the effort. He introduces himself as Faki Zenjo, the Reaper hired for this job. Our hero's gaze turns icy as he asks if Faki is just another pawn on someone else's board. Suddenly, Yamare senses a shift in the atmosphere, a vibration of raw power radiating from his enemy. Faki unleashes a blinding pink aura, revealing the terrifying energy known as Ryatsu. Yet, facing this crushing spiritual pressure, our protagonist stands tall, unflinching. The assassin roars, charging forward with killing intent, vowing to send the brat straight to hell. He strikes to kill but hits nothing but air as our protagonist vanishes with godlike speed. Faki's jaw drops, his mind unable to process how the boy dodged a fatal blow. Yori appears behind him, whispering that the giant has made a grave calculation error. He warns that the only weakling in the cell is the man standing before him. In a flash, Yori lands a thunderous punch, screaming that he is the predator here. But Faki is a seasoned warrior. He catches our hero's leg mid-strike to prevent a fall. Using monstrous brute strength, He swings the boy like a ragdoll. Yamare is hurled violently across the pitch-black cell. The protagonist soars through the air, twisting his body to land perfectly on his feet, light as a feather. Faki admits he underestimated the prey and vows to teach him a lesson in pain. Our hero simply stares back, his own terrifying presence beginning to leak out. A deep purple aura explodes from his body, signaling the start of the real battle. Without a moment's hesitation, Yamori becomes a blur, charging straight into the jaws of the beast. He delivers a devastating blow, driving his fist into Faki's chest with the force of a cannon. The giant is blasted backward, the shockwave rippling through his massive frame. Faki coughs up blood, his mind reeling. What kind of monster possesses this strength? He crashes to the floor, his world shattered by the boy's overwhelming dominance. But the beast is not done. He rises with a roar of fury, preparing to unleash his full power. Yori responds with a high kick that obliterates a section of the concrete wall. Amidst the dust and debris, our protagonist glares at the enemy with a calm that is truly frightening. Faki, battered and bruised, looks on with pure hatred burning in his eyes. He charges once more, screaming for the brat to learn his place. Our hero stands rooted to the spot, watching the fist approach in slow motion. Counter. He drives a pinpoint punch squarely into the center of his opponent's face. The impact distorts Faki's features, sending a spray of blood and teeth into the air. The giant is launched backward, his body smashing through the cell floor. Faki's mind goes blank, unable to understand why he's being completely dismantled. The protagonist emerges from the shadows, cloaked in an intimidating red aura. He raises a fist, now glowing with a lethal blue energy. Wasting no time, Yamori prepares the final strike to end this charade. With the enemy broken on the ground, our hero grips his face, demanding the name of the puppet master. His purple aura flares with intensity as the interrogation turns brutal. Yamare screams, demanding to know where a thug like him learned the art of Ryatsu. Miles away, Onaga grips his phone, sweat pouring down his face as he asks what kind of demon they are fighting. Is this really the same kid? He remembers the boy was supposed to be the failure of the Yamare clan. Panic sets in as he prays this nightmare can be swept under the rug. Desperate, he promises a massive promotion to the man on the line if he can just make this problem disappear. Back in the ruins of the cell, our hero stands over Faki, who chuckles, praising the boy's strength. Through a swollen face, the assassin admits his fatal mistake was underestimating the target. Yamare presses on, asking if other cultivators exist in the shadows of this world. Faki begins to recount a memory. Speaking of a mysterious monk he encountered years ago, with a single bare hand, the monk sliced a giant tree in half as if it were paper. The assassin recalls staring in awe, witnessing a power that defied the laws of nature. Decades ago, the old monk handed him a vial containing a mysterious golden fluid, claiming it was divine water. Following the monk's orders, he consumed the diluted elixir for years, but the result was a monstrous transformation, changing his very flesh and bone into something inhuman. However, our protagonist sees through the disguise instantly. That is no holy water, it is pure, concentrated spiritual liquid. It is a cultivation resource so rare that warriors would kill for it. Yamori stares him down, asking why a man of such immense power would bow to mere mortals. Faki's facade finally cracks. He reveals the tragic truth: his son is suffering from a terminal illness, and the treatment costs a fortune. Grief fills his eyes as he admits the divine water failed to save his boy. Now, he screams in desperation, he needs money to find a cure before time runs out. That is when our protagonist drops a bombshell. He looks Faki in the eye and claims he can purge the illness himself. Faki freezes, unable to process the words. Yamari explains the harsh reality: spiritual liquid is a miracle for cultivators, but it acts as a deadly poison for normal humans. To prove his might, Yamori reveals a glowing healing talisman from his pocket. Faki scoffs at the simple piece of paper, but instantly, our hero activates the seal, unleashing a blinding surge of emerald energy. The green light envelops Faki, knitting his flesh back together in seconds. He is left trembling in absolute shock at this divine miracle. Yamori lays out the terms: reveal the mastermind and save the boy, or be erased from existence right here and now. Faced with the threat of death, a knowing smirk finally curls on Faki's lips. He admits that our hero is truly a monster among men. Finally, he speaks the name the one pulling the strings is Hashimoto Kas. Elsewhere, Kosi laughs, mocking Onaga for fearing a nobody from the Yamori clan. Behold Hashimoto Kas, the owner of the Kosen Club and the shadow mastermind behind this chaos. He casually offers refreshments to his guest, but in the corner, a horrific sight awaits a woman, chained like a dog and covered in bruises. He looms over her, sneering at her lack of manners. He calls her a spoiled brat who needs to be taught a painful lesson. A sadistic glint lights up his eyes. With zero mercy, he violently rips the gag from her mouth, ready to continue his twisted game. He lifts a pair of rusted pliers, asking which tooth he should extract next. The villain jams the cold steel into her mouth. With a sickening crunch, he rips out a tooth without a shred of hesitation. Just then, a butler interrupts the torture. Lord Amma is on the line, demanding to speak about our hero. Koss waves it off with arrogance. He claims the situation is handled and plans to pay a visit to the police station himself. Back at the scene, Faki hands over a cross necklace. Yamori senses it immediately. This item is filled with concentrated spiritual liquid. His eyes light up. With this treasure, he can nourish the spirit grass and finally break through to the second stage of cultivation. He pockets the prize with a grin. But Faki warns him gravely Hashimoto will now hunt him to the ends of the earth. He adds that no one targeted by that man has ever met a happy end. Yamori remains unfazed, reminding Faki of their deal. His eyes turn cold as ice. He promises to send Hashimoto a message he will never forget. Meanwhile, a luxury sedan pulls up to the gates of Nahi University. Radiating confidence, a stunning woman steps out, commanding the attention of everyone nearby. It is Shizuru, the daughter of the woman Yamori healed. Fate works in mysterious ways. Her savior is a freshman at this very school. Determined, she marches toward the dean's office to track down his classroom. Inside, Saki is fiercely arguing with the professor about Yamori's unjust arrest. Suddenly, the door swings open. Shizuru steps in. Whispers erupt as the students recognize the famous upperclassman. Ignoring the stares, she cuts to the chase, asking if they are discussing our hero. At the precinct, Officer Kaya slams his fist on the chief's desk. He cannot believe his superior is releasing a criminal they have hunted for years. Burning with indignation, Kaya points a finger at the chief, accusing him of blatant corruption. The corrupt chief glares back, demanding evidence. Kaya stands his ground, knowing a dirty scheme is unfolding in the shadows. The chief dares him to speak, but Kaya is silenced by the lack of physical proof. Suddenly, the door is kicked off its hinges. Saki and Shizuru burst in, demanding Yamori's immediate release. The chief explodes in rage, screaming about the incompetence of his guards. He eyes the young woman suspiciously, assuming a nobody like Yamori has no powerful connections. Puffing on a cigarette, he sneers. He claims their friend is a prime suspect and isn't going anywhere. Kaya loses it, screaming that the charges are nonsense. The chief simply hides behind protocol, refusing to leak internal info. Saki fires back, asking the real question: why are the Yakuza thugs walking free while her friend rots in a cell? Chief Onatsu Onaga slams his hand down, threatening to arrest them for obstruction of justice if they don't vanish instantly. Unfazed by his blustering, Shizuru simply picks up her phone from the desk with elegant indifference. She takes a seat with the grace of a queen, calmly daring him to try and arrest her if he has the courage to face the consequences. Exploding with rage, the chief barks an order for his men to throw both girls into a cell immediately. A swarm of police officers closes in, surrounding the two helpless young women. Koss screams out in protest, yelling that this is a flagrant abuse of authority and a violation of their rights. Shizuru fixes him with a glare cold enough to freeze hell and asks if he truly thinks false accusations can silence them. The corrupt chief just laughs, sneering that insulting a government official will only make their suffering worse. But Shizuru doesn't flinch. She stares daggers at him and reveals she knows exactly who those thugs were working for him. The laughter dies in the man's throat. He suddenly realizes this girl isn't prey. She's a predator making things very complicated. With eyes like ice, she suggests that Yamare's situation could be resolved with a little financial incentive. Onaga smirks, claiming it is only natural for the powerful to have privileges, and he is no exception. He leans in, his voice dropping to a sinister hiss, threatening to fabricate a story where they all accidentally lose their lives right here and now. Kay and the others freeze, shock and anger warring in their eyes as the corrupt chief's lethal threat hangs in the air. Without breaking eye contact, Shizuru speaks into her phone, asking if Director Oi caught all of that. A voice on the other end replies with a crisp yes, leaving Onaga and his officers completely thunderstruck. Color drains from the chief's face. Terrified, he stammers, asking if she's actually speaking to the real Director Oi. She introduces herself with deadly precision. listing every serious crime he has just committed on record. Onaga stands paralyzed, his mind racing as he wonders who the hell this girl is to wield such power. Panic sets in as the truth hits him like a freight train. Our protagonist is connected to the legendary and powerful Suga family. The scene shifts to the dark confines of the holding cell where our hero awaits his fate. Suddenly, the necklace Saki gave him begins to pulse with an intense, mysterious glow. Yamori clutches the artifact, calculating that he only has enough spiritual liquid for one use. His thoughts are interrupted by the heavy sound of footsteps approaching his cell. The rhythmic click-clack of high heels echoes down the corridor, signaling the arrival of an unexpected visitor. The heavy metal door creaks open, and a young woman steps into the gloom. Our hero turns, his expression serious, ready for whatever trouble walks through that door. But instead of trouble, relief washes over him as Shizuru and Saki appear in the doorway, greeting him with cheerful, triumphant smiles. Meanwhile, in a luxurious mansion far away, a blond man shatters a wine glass in a fit of fury, screaming that everyone around him is utterly useless. He collapses onto a sofa, seething with irritation as his plans crumble, one target gone, the other in jail. Fear flickers in his eyes as he realizes that if the Amma family's mission fails, his own life is forfeit. A shadow moves in the corner as a subordinate approaches, tentatively asking what Lord Akimasa plans to do next. Akimasa narrows his eyes, deciding to deploy his absolute best assassin, but orders him to spare the hero's life. For now. With a face twisted in demonic rage, he swears on his life that he will crush that trash with his own two hands when the time is right. Back in his room, Yamare sighs, lamenting his empty wallet after spending everything. He spreads his treasures on the floor, Saki's necklace, and the precious silver heart grass. It is time. He begins the refining process, and the room is instantly bathed in a blinding golden light emanating from the cauldron. He focuses his entire will on creating the key gathering pill, a legendary item needed to skyrocket his cultivation base. As the pill's energy floods his veins, our protagonist breaks through his limits, finally evolving to the next level of power. He tests his new technique, the shadow cloud step, blurring across the room with godlike speed. Confidence surges through him at this velocity. Not even bullets can touch him now. However, reality sets in. He has exhausted his supply of spiritual liquid and desperately needs more resources to continue his evolution. He checks his bank balance and grimaces 0. Going to Ryuta through normal means is too dangerous without funds. Clutching a card, he calculates he needs exactly 2 million yen for the trip. Suddenly, a flash on the TV screen catches his attention. It is a commercial for a wildly popular beauty injection, promising miracle rejuvenation for aging skin. A light bulb goes off in his head. He grabs a small blue box, grinning as he realizes that wealthy women will pay anything for eternal youth. The timeline rewinds 5 hours, taking us back to a high-stakes dinner with the Suga family heiress. Our hero realizes her influence is absolute. Being a councilman's daughter allowed her to crush the police chief. Shizuru then admits she called him here to ask for a small favor in return. Yamori blinks in surprise, asking what someone like her could possibly need from him. She asks if he recognizes the towering headquarters of the city's largest cosmetics company. A proud smile plays on her lips as she reveals she owns the entire building and is hosting a grand party for her mother there. Shizuru extends an invitation, leaving our hero stunned by the sheer scale of her wealth. The skyscraper glows in the night, a testament to the gap between their worlds. Back in the present, Yamare's mind races to the Joan pill, a common beauty recipe from his previous world. His plan is simple but brilliant. Sell a few pills to the rich socialites and secure the cash. The box glows in his hand. His golden opportunity is right in front of him. Meanwhile, at the lavish party, Shizuru's uncles sneer, commenting loudly that she's getting too old to remain unmarried. Their words turn venomous as they warn that if she doesn't marry soon, she will end up a failure like her older sister, Masami. The uncle scoffs, declaring that her prime is over and she is becoming useless to the clan's ambitions. Masami stands speechless as he mercilessly calls her a plague goddess. With a malicious glare, the uncle demands she force Shizuru to accept the arranged marriage for the family's sake. A sudden fit of coughing tears through the silence as Shizuru's mother suffers another attack, sending her daughter rushing to her side in terror. The ruthless uncle sneers, branding the unmarried woman as damaged goods and pushing for an arranged marriage with the Oko family. But the older sister finally snaps, declaring she has her own path in mind. Mockery drips from his voice as the uncle scoffs, demanding to know what foolish thoughts could possibly exist in her head. Exploding with rage, he screams right in the woman's face, accusing her of pure selfishness. He mocks her further, asking if she truly believes a simple cosmetic product can reverse time, but suddenly, a deep voice cuts through the tension, declaring, "I can do exactly that." Heads snap toward the entrance in shock as our protagonist steps into the light. He immediately calls out the disrespect, stating that labeling a woman as damaged goods is beyond rude. Mana flares within his gaze as his eyes begin to glow. With a menacing aura, he warns that his patience for such insolence has reached its limit. Stunned by this pressure, the uncle recoils and demands to know who the hell this stranger is, who dared to appear out of thin air. Desperate, he screams for security to throw our hero out, but Shizuru steps forward to defend him. She reveals that she invited Yumori personally because he is the savior of her mother's life. Even the frail mother speaks up from her wheelchair, offering her deepest gratitude to him for the talisman that preserved her health. Our protagonist humbly dismisses the praise, but the uncle sneers in disbelief. He claims she was scammed by a con artist, insisting that modern science was the only thing that saved her. Yamori calmly steps forward, introducing himself not as a mystic, but as a researcher and a legitimate business partner of the family. When a guest questions his credentials, our hero declares that the topic is youth itself, holding a mysterious box. He announces that he holds the ultimate answer right in the palm of his hand. He approaches Masami, selecting her as the perfect subject to demonstrate his miracle. With a confident smile, he offers the box and instructs the young woman to consume the item inside. Her eyes widen as the container unlocks, releasing a surge of overwhelming energy into the room. The lid lifts to reveal the legendary Joan pill exposed to the world. The uncle instantly screams that it is a lie, accusing the hero of trying to poison them with a fake cure. Masami hesitates in fear, asking if it is safe, but Shizuru intervenes. She swears on her trust in Yamare, declaring she would take the pill herself without a second thought. Hearing this conviction, the girl's mother adds her voice, stating she trusts him completely because he has already proven his power. Whispers ripple through the crowd as two guests scoff, insisting that true rejuvenation medicine is scientifically impossible. Ignoring the doubters, our protagonist looks deep into Masami's eyes and asks if she doesn't want to feel what it was like to be young again. Memories of being called old and washed up flood her mind, igniting a spark of defiance. With a determined glare, she decides to seize her destiny and reaches out her hand. The young woman grasps the treasure and places it in her mouth with unwavering determination. Witnessing this recklessness, the uncle and his wife stand with their jaws on the floor, unable to believe she actually consumed it. Masami freezes in place, and the guests begin to murmur that it was poison all along. The uncle bursts into laughter, mocking them for wasting time on such nonsense. But suddenly, a brilliant golden aura erupts around Masami's eye. A mirror is thrust in front of her, revealing that her features are transforming before their very eyes. The uncle and his wife scream in sheer disbelief, their minds shattering at the miracle unfolding in front of them. Totally impressed, a woman demands the price, and our hero calmly states it costs 400,000 yen. Chaos erupts as guests shout over each other, bidding higher and higher. The uncle stands frozen, unable to comprehend the frenzy over a single pill. Greed instantly replaces shock as he realizes the technique is the real goldmine that could launch them to the top of the world. His wife warns that the company is on the brink of bankruptcy, but he viciously silences her without a second thought. A wicked grin spreads across his face as he plots to deceive the hero and marry off Shizuru to secure the pills. Suddenly, a heavyweight from the Kosen group shouts an offer of 4 million for the rights. Panic sets in for the uncle, and he desperately counters with an offer of 20 million yen to keep the prize within his grasp. He rushes to calm the crowd, reminding everyone that our hero is his guest and off limits to competitors. Wearing a fake smile, the man drags Yamare to a private corner. He boldly offers 30 million yen with a 30-70 profit split. Our protagonist asks if he receives the 70%, but the uncle laughs in his face. He claims the larger share is for the company, arguing that the Hoshu family connections are priceless. Suddenly, Shizuru steps out of the shadows, coldly asking exactly what kind of connections the Hoshu family has left. The uncle flinches at the intrusion, yelling that she should know better since she is part of the family, too. Shizuru glares at him with icy contempt, revealing that he certainly didn't care about family when he lost 160 million yen. Desperate, the man screams that she is speaking nonsense, but with her phone in hand, she displays the damning proof of fund withdrawals and the bank's collection notices. Masami and her mother gasp in horror, asking if he truly used their family company as collateral for his failures. Cold sweat pours down the uncle's face as he stammers, terrified that she investigated his secret dealings. Shizu exposes his true nature, accusing him of draining her mother dry just like he did with her grandmother before. With a gaze full of fury, the young woman screams that he will not see a single cent from them ever again. She reveals the final truth: he doesn't even have the 30 million he promised and was planning to scam our hero from the start. Collapsed on the floor, the man yells pathetic excuses. He turns to beg Masami for mercy, but she looks down on him with cold eyes, saying she is utterly disappointed. The last scion of the Hoshisu clan clings to her dress, begging for salvation in a pathetic display of desperation. But Masami looks down with ice-cold eyes, declaring that embezzling her mother's inheritance is a sin beyond forgiveness. The older sister kicks him aside like trash, telling him to clean up his own mess. The man collapses on the floor, broken, asking if his own blood is truly abandoning him. Finally, Shizeru steps in and offers him two brutal choices. He can face the wrath of justice and lifelong debt, or sell his bankrupt legacy to her for exactly 1 yen. The guests erupt in mockery, laughing that he reaped what he sowed. Ignoring the humiliated man, Shizuru turns to Yaore, noting the room is filled with powerful elites. She offers to make introductions, paving the way for him should he ever need allies in the business world. He muses that 40 million for the right seems fair, but she warns him to tread carefully. However, she adds with a soft smile that she feels safe leaving the business in his capable hands. Later that night, Shizuru drives him home, complimenting the humble neighborhood he now calls his sanctuary. Yaori steps out of the luxury car, admitting the place is just a temporary rental. He thanks her sincerely, his voice filled with gratitude for her support. She smiles and calls them friends. The word catches him off guard. He watches her taillights fade into the distance, hands in his pockets, lost in thought. Gazing up at the pale moon, our hero thinks that perhaps this second chance at life isn't so bad after all. He turns toward his front door, seeking rest. Calmly, he reaches for the knob, expecting the quiet comfort of home, but the door creaks open with a touch, revealing a sliver of ominous light. He steps inside, and his blood runs cold at the sight of a crimson pool on the living room floor. Horror strikes him. The little dog that had loyally followed him lies there, a knife buried deep in its small back. Fury erupts in his eyes. Our protagonist clenches his fists, his mind racing to understand who would commit such an atrocity. Miles away, An reports to his master that Yaore was seen with a woman. Akamasa grins wickedly, ordering them to capture the girl to inflict maximum suffering on our hero. The villain sneers, hoping the brat enjoys the bloody housewarming gift he left behind. The image of the injured dog flashes in his twisted mind. Back at the house, panic sets in. Our protagonist rushes to his fallen friend, desperate to help. He realizes the little animal is faintly breathing. There is still hope. Without a second of hesitation, he activates a healing talisman, pouring his energy into saving the innocent life. Suddenly, a presence manifests behind him. An assassin emerges from the shadows, ready to strike while his guard is down. The attacker lunges, the blade gleaming as it aims for a fatal spot. He commits everything to this single ending blow, but Yaori's instincts are sharper than steel. He spins around just in time, planting a thunderous punch squarely into the enemy's face. Protecting the dog with one arm, he delivers a devastating counterkick to the assassin's chin. A split second later, more goons emerge, stunned by his reflexes. Gentle as a breeze, our protagonist places the animal down and whispers for it to hide. He stands, facing the new threats. A terrifying purple aura explodes around him as he asks if he needs to dismantle them one by one. The gang leader barks orders to attack, shouting that they must capture him alive, not kill him. One thug charges with a weapon, but our hero stands immovable as a mountain. With eyes like frozen abysses, he charges his hand with violet energy. Impact. He slams the first enemy with a blow so heavy it buries the man into the floorboards. With the first trash taken out, he coldly announces the count has begun. Another thug roars in anger, swinging a steel pipe with lethal intent. But it is useless. Our protagonist blocks the strike effortlessly, radiating absolute superiority. He retaliates with a bone-shattering punch to the chest. Before the thug can fall, Yare grabs him by the throat, instilling pure terror in the man's soul. With godlike strength, he lifts the grown man off the ground, using only one hand, effortless as breathing. 2 down, our hero turns his gaze to the remnants of the pack, realizing melee is suicide. The goons panic and draw their guns. But he is a blur of motion. He dodges the bullets with supernatural speed, vowing to send every single one of them to hell. His face is a mask of wrath. He will beat the truth out of them. Meanwhile, the villain laughs in his lair, toying with instruments of torture. Akamasa approaches Shizeru, mocking her as the city's most desired prize. The young woman is shackled to a bed, helpless. The villain gloats, recognizing her as the powerful councilman's daughter. Suddenly, his phone rings. Confident of victory, he answers, expecting to hear that the target has been neutralized. Instead, a chilling voice comes from the other side. Our hero warns him that his men won't be waking up anytime soon. A twisted smile spreads across Yamare's face. He admits the kid really knows how to deliver a surprise. Akimasa grabs Shizuru by the hair, revealing his ace card. He holds the councilman's daughter hostage. Hearing this, our protagonist's eyes glow with demonic fury. Rage consumes him. He demands the villain release her immediately and keep innocent bystanders out of their war. Akamasa just laughs, calling our hero a bold and entertaining child. He sets a sadistic deadline, 40 minutes to arrive, or else. The villain scoffs, telling him to figure out the location on his own, and severs the connection, leaving the line dead. The call ends, leaving only a deafening silence. Our protagonist stands frozen, phone in hand. Suddenly, pure fury erupts. He crushes the device in his grip, swearing a blood oath to hunt down Hashimoto this very instant. Meanwhile, Akamasa prepares a twisted show. He decides to film a video to provoke our hero. He corners the terrified young woman, who struggles in a panic against his advances. But just as the nightmare begins, he halts. He spins around, face twisted in annoyance, demanding to know what disturbances are interrupting his fun. Two trembling henchmen report that the warehouse fire alarm is blaring. Akamasa roars in anger, screaming that he ordered it deactivated furious. He stomps off to investigate the situation personally. He arrives at the shadowed sector, his voice echoing in the gloom. He demands to know who the heck is lurking there and what exactly they think they are doing. Boom! The door is kicked off its hinges. One of his men flies through the air like a rag doll. Through the open doorway, Akamasa sees the guard unconscious and the room completely demolished. Hope flickers in Shizeru's eyes. She whispers our hero's name, realizing with a trembling heart that he has finally come to save her. But let us rewind the clock by 1 hour. A man on a motorcycle sits idling, grumbling about a troublesome delivery job. Letter in hand, he checks the address. He is in the right spot. Looking up at the imposing mansion, he wonders if this is truly the protagonist's residence. Suddenly, his earpiece crackles to life. A voice warns him that Yamare has finally returned home. Moments later, a thug guarantees that 6 deadly assassins are ready to take the target out. They are confident the job is already done. They also reveal a darker prize. They have captured a woman and are taking her away, hiding in the shadows. The biker realizes the truth. Akamasa sent assassins and kidnapped an innocent girl. Tires screech as the thug's car speeds away with the hostage. The man revs his engine, deciding instantly to tail them and uncover their hideout. He slams the throttle. The bike roars down the street, weaving through traffic to keep the kidnappers within his sights. Arriving at a massive estate, his phone begins to buzz. He picks up the call immediately. He reports that he tracked the goons and that Akamasa has the girl. Yamare asks if the address is 32 Harami Street. The biker is stunned by the accuracy. Our protagonist reveals the dark truth. He beat the information out of a goon before the trash passed out cold. Yamori asks for help extracting his friend, promising to handle Hashimoto personally, with eyes burning like a demon. Our protagonist warns that he will drag the villain straight down to hell. Meanwhile, back at Akamasa's mansion, the villain stands in the hallway, barking orders and arguing with his incompetent subordinates. His voice echoes off the walls as he demands to know why the warehouse alarm is still screaming. Hidden in the shadows, Faki watches the blonde villain leave to check the alarm. The remaining goons whine about the tough job, frustrated that they cannot even touch the hostage. Snap! One of the guards freezes. He hears a suspicious noise and calls out into the darkness. Faki steps into the light, enveloped in a terrifying purple aura. The goon stammers in confusion. With a cold glare, Faki apologizes sarcastically before telling them to hang in there. He launches forward like a missile. A devastating punch connects with the guard's face, sending shockwaves through the hall. One enemy down, 1 to go. He spots Shizeru and smirks, noting that our hero now owes him a massive favor for this rescue. No time to waste. He scoops her up in his arms, declaring they must escape immediately. Faki sprints down the corridor before the alarm brings more heat. Approaching the exit, he assures her the car is waiting in the garden and the guards won't be returning. Freedom is just steps away. But disaster strikes. A searing beam of light pierces right through his body. He is critically injured in the middle of their escape. Faki crashes to the ground, twisting his body to shield the young woman from the impact. He lies there, battered and bleeding heavily from the gunshot wound. Akimasu steps from the shadows, smoking gun in hand. He boasts about his marksmanship while his lackeys shower him with praise. Gasping for air, Faki wonders how they returned so quickly. The blonde villain scoffs, mocking Faki for having the courage to show his face here. Even in pain, Faki forces a smile. He drags himself up, greeting the boss casually as if they were old friends meeting after a long time. Akimasa laughs maniacally. He declares it a wonderful day, for everyone has gathered here just to be punished by his hand. The villain's eyes gleam with sadistic excitement, eager for the torture to start, but Faki flares his aura once more, telling the scum to save the bragging until after he wins. Meanwhile, far away at the entrance, Judgment Day has arrived. Our protagonist steps onto the mansion grounds. The guards spot him, asking with suspicion who he thinks he is. Our hero answers not with words, but by exploding with a blood-red aura, his gaze promises only death. A foolish goon steps forward, asking if the intruder is even listening to them. Without a second thought, Yamori unleashes a punch that breaks the sound barrier. The guard is launched backward, his face rearranged by the devastating impact. The other guards freeze in terror at the display of power. Shaking off the shock, they raise their weapons to attack the monster. They charge in unison, batons swinging wildly, but the guy dances through their attacks, dodging every strike before countering with a blur of lethal blows. It is a massacre. He dismantles the entire squad with terrifying ease. With eyes full of wrath, he announces he is here to end Hashimoto permanently. Meanwhile, inside the mansion, Faki coughs up blood, lying unresponsive on the cold floor. Surrounded by enemies, the fallen fighter laments that the numbers were just too great this time. Lying broken on the ground, guilt consumes him. He blames himself for not listening to our hero and failing to protect the girl. Akamasa glares down at him. He promises that once Faki is dead, he will send the others to join him in the afterlife. With a psychotic expression, he adds that he will carve them into little pieces first. Suddenly, a blinding flash erupts, shattering the silence as a massive explosion tears through the heart of the mansion. Startled by the chaos, the blonde man spins around, demanding to know which fool dares to invade his sanctuary. Through the thick smoke, a silhouette emerges, draped in a terrifying purple aura, with eyes cold as the abyss. Our protagonist announces he has arrived to drag the villain straight to hell. Fakey glares through the haze, grumbling that it took the guy long enough to finally show up to the party. Without a word, our hero tosses him a healing talisman and orders him to activate it immediately. Recognizing the spiritual energy, Fakey realizes this miracle will work just like last time. Consumed by rage, Akimasa levels his gun and screams for his subordinates to wipe this intruder off the face of the earth. A hail of bullets flies toward our hero, but he weaves through the storm like a phantom. He scoffs, declaring that lead is useless against a master of the cloud step, moving faster than the eye can track. He kicks a weapon aside while dancing through the gunfire. Akimasa's jaw hits the floor, his mind unable to comprehend such godlike speed. Our protagonist advances like a force of nature, crushing every goon in his path. With his army lying broken on the ground, the villain stares at the approaching monster with sheer terror. Panic takes over. He spins around in desperation, screaming that he needs to reach the safe room immediately. As he sprints, his mind races. This wasn't part of the deal. This intruder isn't just trash, he is a predator. Reaching the reinforced security door, he bellows for it to open. He frantically punches in the password, but the panel flashes a cruel red light code incorrect. The villain screams in pure fury, trapped like a rat. Suddenly, a heavy impact shakes the room as one of his own men is hurled violently against the metal door. Trembling with fear, he tries to steady his breathing, telling himself that no one would dare defy his powerful protector. He finds his voice and yells that the one who wants the hero dead is the great Lord Amma, but our protagonist materializes right behind him, asking in a chilling tone who this Lord Amma is. With a glare that could freeze blood, he warns the villain that playing dumb will only result in unimaginable agony. Broken by fear, Akimasa reveals the truth. The Amma family ordered the hit because of a marriage arrangement. Our hero pauses, realizing the body's previous owner never even met a woman named Yukiha. Akimasa boasts that only the mighty Ama family has such reach and demands to be released immediately. Yamori realizes that Huima must be a cultivator as well. The villain sees a chance and tries to bargain, claiming he can prove his worth if spared. Yamori looks down at him with absolute contempt, asking what kind of value a piece of trash could possibly offer. Misreading the situation, the blonde man smiles confidently, thinking the hero finally understands how the world works. But Yamare has no patience for games. He delivers a devastating punch that connects squarely with the villain's face. He follows up with a brutal blow, launching the attacker across the room. The impact sends the guy crashing through a wall and splashing into a hidden water chamber. Inside, the truth is revealed. Our hero discovers several women in chains, battered and broken. Seeing this atrocity, uncontrollable fury ignites within his eyes. The camera pans out, showing the tragic scene as our hero stands as a guardian before the terrified hostages. His expression darkens. He tells the villain that these girls are the only ones who can decide his value. Drawing his knife, he prepares to shatter their bonds. With a single, precise strike, the blade flashes, severing the chains and freeing the young women from their nightmare. Clang, the knife hits the floor, the sound echoing like a judgment bell. With a voice devoid of mercy, our protagonist tells the women they can do whatever they wish with their tormentor. Akimasa begs for his life, offering every cent he owns. One of the victims steps forward, picking up a sword. She spits that they don't want his dirty money. Her eyes burn with hatred as she declares that sending him to hell is the only payment they accept. Meanwhile, miles away, our hero uses his energy to heal Shizeru, who rests on a sofa. Feike warns him to flee, noting the police sirens in the distance, and asks if he is certain about this plan. Calm and collected, he replies that he will return the moment he ensures the young woman is safely in police custody. Feike asks what the next move is now that they have the intel. Our protagonist vows to investigate the Ama family, noting that Layman is currently outnumbered in his own battle. Back at the safety of his home, our protagonist tries to relax, but his mind remains a battlefield. He knows he defeated Hashimoto, but a partner is still lurking in the shadows, waiting to be hunted down. Suddenly, his small dog barks, alerting him to a presence. Yamare opens the door to find a man in a formal suit addressing him respectfully as Lord Yamare. The courier announces a delivery from President Suga and delivers a cryptic message. Get ready to leave immediately. Confused, our hero wonders what scheme Shizeru is cooking up now. He takes the package to his room to inspect the contents. Holding the box, he dials Shizeru and demands to know why she sent him a formal suit. On the other end, the young woman confirms the delivery and drops a bombshell. It is for the exclusive Hoshu family gala. Staring at the invitation, our protagonist is baffled as to why he's on the guest list. Then, a memory strikes him, and he asks in shock about his former fiancée. Panic sets in as the pieces of the puzzle click together. He finally grasps the terrible political storm he has walked right into. Shizeru confirms his fears. The party is for Yuki Amaya, the cherished daughter of the powerful Amaya clan. Arriving at the party, the venue is filled with titans of the business world. Dressed in his new suit, Yamare narrows his eyes, suspecting everyone here has an agenda with the Hoshu family. Shizuru reveals the brutal truth. Simply sharing blood with the Amaya clan grants instant influence. Everyone is desperate for a connection. But the stakes are about to rise. She whispers that the main event, the powerful daughter of the family, is making her entrance. The banquet hall buzzes with anticipation, filled with elites waiting for the great heiress. Yamare senses a sudden shift in the atmosphere of familiar energy. Could she be connected to the previous owner's past? His eyes narrow, sharpening with focus. Our protagonist locks his gaze on the newcomer, analyzing every detail. Enter Yuki Amaya, the jewel of the Amaya clan. Walking beside her is Nana, the formidable head of the Hoshisu family. A brilliant blue aura explodes from Yuki, invisible to most but blinding to our hero. She is a cultivator. He realizes she must hold the secrets of the Amaya lineage. He needs answers, but he must bide his time. Switching to social mode, Shizuru steps forward with a radiant smile, greeting Nana Hoshisu with overflowing enthusiasm. She offers gratitude for Nana's concern, mentioning her mother's slow recovery. Then, the power move, she presents a box of the legendary Joyan pills as a gift for her aunt. Nana's eyes widen in genuine shock. The famous pills, the entire room murmurs in awe at the priceless treasure. Even Yuki Amaya cannot hide her surprise. She stares at the medicine with intense curiosity. declaring that the creator possesses god-tier alchemy skills. The question hangs in the air. Nana demands to know the source, noting the pills lack the seal of any known alchemy guild. Shizuru drops the bomb her partner created them. Our hero steps forward, introducing himself. Yuki and Nana freeze, thunderstruck by his name. They cannot believe reality. Nana recognizes him instantly. She praises his divine skill but ruthlessly insults his bloodline, mocking the Yimure family for being talentless trash. The temperature drops. Yuki cuts Nana off with an icy glare, warning her that she has crossed a line. The young heiress reveals a harsh truth. If not for his cursed lineage, his talent alone would have earned him a seat in the Amaya family years ago. Yumori analyzes the situation. The noble families hoard cultivation resources, yet their techniques are primitive. Yuki twists the knife, implying that without status, his genius is worthless. Nana presses on, desperate to know the truth. She asks for the name of the Grandmaster who taught him such heaven-defying alchemy. Our protagonist pauses. His mind drifts back through the eons, remembering his past life as a supreme cultivator. He recalls the mountains of power he once commanded. He snaps back to reality, hiding his true identity. It is just a hobby. He lies effortlessly, claiming he has no master before quickly changing the topic. Suddenly, the doors swing open. A white-haired man strides into the party, his presence commanding the room as he wishes Nana a happy birthday. All eyes lock onto him. Whispers erupt like wildfire. The guests recognize him immediately. The heir of the almighty Amaya family has arrived. Nana turns to our hero, her voice trembling with excitement. She introduces the newcomer as Joe, the destined heir of the Amaya clan. The name hits our protagonist like a physical blow. He stares in disbelief. The man he needs to investigate is standing right there. With a sneer of arrogance, Joe asks about the woman beside our hero. Nana quickly introduces Shizuru as the heiress of the powerful Suga family. The two men lock eyes, smirks form on their faces, and the air thickens with suffocating tension. A silent war has begun. The heir introduces himself as Joe Amaya, extending a hand to greet Shizuru with practiced nobility. Then, he turns to our hero. As they shake hands, Joe claims he has heard many rumors. Yimure plays the fool, asking with a mocking tone, "And who are you exactly?" Time for a test. Yimori introduces himself and unleashes a surge of spiritual pressure right in the middle of the party. Ordinary cultivators hide their strength, but he forces his energy directly into Joe's body, violently probing his meridians for the truth. It works. The air flinches, yanking his hand back in terror. He stares at our hero, his mask of composure cracking for a split second, but he recovers quickly, stammering that it is an honor. Desperate to escape the pressure, he turns his back on Yimure and asks Yuki how she has been. Yimori watches the retreat from a distance, his instincts screaming. Something is terribly wrong. He felt nothing. He cannot sense a shred of power within the guy. Is the air a fake, meanwhile? Joe trembles, realizing our hero showed zero fear upon hearing the Amaya name. The scene shifts. The tension dissolves into luxury as the guests take their seats in the grand banquet hall. Laughter and wine flow freely as the elite enjoy the feast. The announcer's voice booms, declaring that the dance floor is now open. The music swells. Couples rise from their tables, gliding to the center of the hall to begin the waltz. Yumori adjusts his suit, his mind racing. Joe Amaya is not a cultivator. It is all a deception. But what is the dark purpose behind this elaborate lie? Across the room, Masami stands alone, glass in hand. She observes the party like a queen watching her subjects. A hopeful suitor approaches, asking for a dance. She shoots him down instantly, coldly telling him to find someone else. She is the ice queen tonight. She rejects every man who dares to approach, even turning down the young master of the Katagiri family. Two guests whisper in the corner, agreeing that no man here is worthy of capturing her attention. But then gasps echo through the crowd. One gossip points in shock. Even Yuki and Shizuru turn their heads, stunned by the impossible scene unfolding. A voice calls out, "Makuto!" Our hero turns, a confident smile playing on his lips. With the grace of a king, he extends his hand to the woman who had been watching him. He asks for this dance, and for the first time, interest flickers in her eyes. The gossiper's jaws hit the floor. They cannot believe it. He actually had the guts to approach her, and she did not say no. Outside the venue, The atmosphere shifts. Joe Ama prepares to depart, his presence commanding absolute silence. His subordinates rush forward, chanting Lord Joe as the luxury vehicle glides in like a predator. With a practiced bow, one of the enforcers opens the limousine door for the heir of the Ama family. But before entering, Joe coldly orders his men to keep their distance. No witnesses allowed. The engine roars, and the limousine speeds away from the glitz of the grand party. From the shadows, two observers watch the vehicle vanish. They can't help but wonder why a high-profile target would isolate himself with just a single bodyguard. One explains the dark rumor every guard chosen by him ends up broken. But suddenly, inside the tinted windows, a violent slap echoes. The so-called heir takes a brutal hit across the face. The mask falls instantly. The bodyguard is the true master here, scolding the puppet Joe for daring to touch a woman's hand in front of Yuki, bruised and terrified. The fake heir trembles, desperately apologizing to the monster sitting beside him. The real boss glares with eyes like ice. He warns that if Joe can't maintain the threatening facade, his end will be anything but peaceful. Moments later, the car stops. The puppet Joe steps out, composing himself. His men bow low, greeting Lord Joe with reverence, completely unaware of the humiliation that just occurred. Regaining his arrogance, he snaps his fingers, ordering two enforcers to escort him back into the party hall. As they walk away, one guard whispers that the rumors were true. Only one person emerged from the vehicle. He wonders what horror lies inside. And indeed, in the back seat, the real heir lies bound and gagged, tears streaming down his bruised face, a king reduced to a helpless prisoner. Back inside, the banquet is in full swing. The fake Joe makes a hasty excuse to Yuki, claiming an emergency, and retreats into the crowd. The young heiress is left stunned, staring at his retreating back with suspicion. She doesn't understand his sudden flight. But before she can dwell on it, a hush falls over the room. All eyes lock onto the dance floor. Jaws drop in collective shock. Masami is gliding across the floor, and her partner is none other than our protagonist. A soft blush colors her cheeks. She seems entirely lost in the moment. Yamare guides her with the grace of a master, a confident smile playing on his lips. The atmosphere intensifies as the melody shifts. The grand piano begins a new, more complex piece. Yet, they don't falter. The two continue their waltz, moving in perfect synchronization amidst the sea of stunned elites. Flushed with excitement, Masami whispers that he's quite the dancer. Our protagonist offers a humble, slightly awkward smile in return, but his mind is sharp. He recalls Masami's warning to sell his pills. He must fit in among these wolves. He realizes the previous owner of this body learned these steps, and his cultivator's physique provides perfect balance. Far away, Nana questions if Yuki knew about this hidden talent. Nana smirks, teasing the girl. She noticed Yuki watching the pair with a little too much intensity. The fake Joe reappears, masking his jealousy as he comments on our protagonist's unexpected grace. Nana presses him, asking if he truly doesn't know the boy. Joe denies it. Nana realizes that for all the Ama family's power, they failed to investigate one outcast kid. The imposter tries to de-escalate, whispering that they shouldn't cause a scene here, but Nana cuts him off. She doesn't care about manners. She sees raw alchemical aptitude in the boy that is nothing short of extraordinary. Her eyes gleam with ambition. She wants to harness that potential. Meanwhile, our hero sips his wine, unaware that the woman has decided she cannot let him roam free. The fake Joe shudders, realizing the woman is a threat he should have eliminated long ago. He glares at our protagonist, spitting the word trash under his breath with pure contempt. Nearby, guests gossip venomously. One notes the boy is from the fallen Yaori family. Another recalls he is Yuki's ex-fiancé, assuming he crashed the party to cause drama. Their whispers turn cruel. They laugh, claiming that since he was kicked out, his only survival strategy is to beg for the girl's affection. In their eyes, he is just a leech trying to use Yuki to claw his way back into nobility. Suddenly, the young heiress declares she is tired. With a heavy sigh, Nana watches as Yuki abruptly leaves the celebration. But she doesn't go far. Yuki spins around and calls out our hero's name, stopping him cold. Her expression is icy. She claims she knows exactly what he's plotting and demands he stop immediately. She accuses him of using her to restore his family's lost honor. Our protagonist blinks, genuinely baffled by her sudden outburst. Yuki scoffs, remarking that while refining pills won't make him rich, it might at least pay his bills. Unfazed by her arrogance, our hero simply raises his glass and takes a calm sip of wine. She advises him to focus on his own life before storming off. A smirk curls on his lips. He calls out to her, retreating back, asking who exactly she thinks she is talking to. Yuki freezes. She turns slowly, confusion replacing her anger. She doesn't understand his tone. Our protagonist drops the bomb. He reveals that the energy she radiates isn't power, it's a leak she cannot control. Yuki is thunderstruck. Her aura flares as she demands to know how he sees that. Yamori warns her forcing cultivation now will shatter her body completely. The noise of the party fades as they stand alone in the corridor, the weight of her secret hanging between them. With a confident smile, Yamori declares he can fix her broken foundation. Yuki is left speechless. How could a mere commoner hold the key to her salvation? The young woman stares at him with doubt, asking if he truly expects her to buy his story. Yamori looks back with cold confidence, warning her that if she refuses to believe him, she is the one who will lose everything. Yuki's expression darkens as the weight of reality settles in. She realizes with dread that her time to solve this impossible problem is rapidly running out. The man cuts straight to the chase. He proposes a business deal, but it comes with a condition he has a favor to ask first. He reveals the mission: deliver a package to the heir of the Amma clan. But they aren't alone. From the shadows, the imposter Joe and Nana watch the whispered conversation like hawks. Pure malice twists the imposter's face. He glares at the scene, whispering our hero's name with enough venom to kill. The scene shifts, revealing the opulent exterior of the mansion where the night's high-stakes drama continues to unfold. Yamori and Masami make their exit, strolling through the quiet garden. Suddenly, a voice cuts through the silence. Yamori spins around to face the intruder. It is Nana. She steps into the light, eyes gleaming with interest in the Joyan pill, summoning him for a private talk. The three of them wander deeper into the estate, bathed in the pale glow of the starry night sky. Yamori knows better. She wants more than just medicine. Nana asks him to call her aunt, but his reply is cold as ice. He reminds her that he severed ties with the Yamori family long ago. Undeterred, the woman smiles sadly. She observes that he and Yuki are two sides of the same coin. Yamori frowns, questioning the comparison. She reveals the truth. After her parents died, the girl became a puppet, her every move controlled by a tyrannical uncle. Yet, Yuki rose to become a legendary cultivator, bound by blood and duty. Masami looks lost, asking the big question: what is a cultivator, and what does transcendence truly mean? Yamori explains simply: it is the third stage of evolution, a realm of power that separates gods from mortals. But power has a price. To reach that level, Yuki used a forbidden method, trading her very lifespan for strength. Yamori asks the obvious: why tell him this? Nana admits the despair. There is no cure. Just like Shizuru's mother, fate is coming for her, and nothing can stop it. A fire lights up in Yamori's eyes. With unshakable determination, he vows to shatter that tragic fate and save her. Nana nods. She sensed his superior skills and held on to a sliver of hope. Masami is floored. Nana trusts this exile more than the world's best doctors. Masami's mind races. Could the legends be true? Is the world of cultivators actually real? Internally, Yamori scoffs. To him, the cultivation methods of this world are practically ancient history. He realizes her true aim. She wants the Joyan pill he created. Nana proposes a partnership, and Masami's eyes instantly turn into dollar signs. Nana snaps at her, scolding the greed. This isn't about profit. It is a desperate bid to save Yuki's life. Her expression softens into sorrow. She describes the girl not as a warrior, but as a kind, delicate soul trapped in a cruel world. She reveals a secret: Yuki only rebelled once, the day her engagement was broken. Yamori stands in silence, the weight of his former fiance's actions sinking in. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifts. The fake Joe strides into the garden, calling out for his aunt with a smooth demeanor. He flashes a charming smile, claiming he merely wanted to say his farewells before leaving the gala. His gaze locks onto Yamori and Masami. The air grows heavy as he thanks the protagonist for the day's events, his eyes analyzing everything. The imposter extends a hand. He suggests they meet again soon, a polite offer laced with hidden threat. Yamori smiles back, matching the energy. As their hands clasp, a shockwave of invisible power surges between them. Yamori's expression remains calm, but his instincts scream. There is something deeply unnatural about this man. Spiritual energy leaks from the imposter, and Yamori measures his strength instantly. Satisfied, the fake heir and his goons turn to depart. Before they can leave, a guard rushes over. He carries a gift, supposedly from Yuki to Lord Joe. Safe inside the luxury car, the fake Joe takes the blue box. He frowns, surprised that Yuki would send him anything at all. He opens it to find a simple paper butterfly. Confused and annoyed, he tosses the box to a subordinate, ordering him to keep it shut. Suddenly, the facade drops. The real boss reveals his true nature, cursing that Hashimoto forced his hand. The ring on his finger pulses with ominous light. His thoughts turn dark as he dwells on Nana Hoshisu and the protagonist. A wicked grin splits his face, accompanied by a sinister blue aura. He swears they will pay for their interference. His eyes glow a demonic red. He plans to use Yuki as a weapon to destroy them all. Beside him sits the body double, a hollow shell obeying every silent command. But in the goon's hands, the box vibrates. The origami butterfly begins to emit an intense, eerie green light. The scene cuts to the skyline. A massive skyscraper dominates the city center, piercing the starry night. Perched on a rooftop like a gargoyle, Yamori watches. In his hand, he holds a matching origami butterfly, glowing with the same spectral light. A smirk plays on his lips. He recalls his promise to the Ama heir that they would meet again very soon. He releases the paper construct. It flutters into the wind, a magical compass seeking its twin. The talisman halts, hovering over the target. The enemy is hiding within the Ama family headquarters. It is time for war. Without a second of hesitation, Yamori leaps from the edge. He dives into the darkness to execute his master plan. With eyes burning with determination, he roars that the real chaos is about to unleash. Meanwhile, amidst the tranquility of her garden, Nana Hoshisu tends to her precious treasures, rare spirit plants that only bear fruit once every 3 years. These aren't just flowers, they are fortune. She calculates their worth, planning to trade them for a king's ransom at the Grand Cultivators Tournament in 3 months. But the air suddenly shifts. Her instincts scream of danger. A voice drips from the shadows, praising her perception despite her weakened state and lingering injuries. The darkness parts. A bald monk steps forth, his body shrouded in a suffocating red aura. "You haven't lost your edge," he sneers. Fear strikes her heart. She realizes these are no ordinary thugs. They are high-level cultivators desperately. She demands their names while her mind races for an escape route. The monk only laughs, a cruel, grating sound. Is the great head of the Hoshisu family actually thinking of fleeing like a coward? A massive, rotund monk joins the fray, reciting an old proverb. Even a lion uses its full strength to hunt a rabbit. Nana realizes the gravity of her situation. They are treating her as a lethal threat in her own garden. She forces a smirk, masking her fear. "So," she asks, "what is it you truly desire from me?" The fat monk demands her obedience, warning her against foolishness. But his bald companion licks his lips, suggesting it would be far easier to simply shatter her limbs and drag her away. Nana's hand brushes a peculiar plant. "You've forgotten whose garden you tread upon," she hisses. Instantaneously, she triggers the plant, unleashing a cloud of mysterious gas. "Allow me to entertain you properly." The bald monk recoils. "What is this sorcery?" He coughs, blinded by the sudden thick smoke. The other monk clamps a hand over his mouth, eyes widening in horror. "Do not breathe. It is a lethal spirit poison." Nana bites down on an antidote herb, the poison flowing harmlessly around her. "This smoke is my shield," she thinks. She knows she cannot win a direct clash against 2 monsters. Escape is her only option. But just as hope glimmers, a pair of glowing red eyes pierces through the fog, radiating a killing intent that freezes her soul. She freezes, paralyzed by confusion. A figure materializes from the darkness itself. Her mind reels. Could this be the legendary shadow art? The realization hits her like a truck. The man standing before her belongs to the most feared organization of all, the Hidden Shadow Sect. The figure steps forward, voice cold as ice. He confirms her worst nightmare. "We are the shadows that swallowed the 100 Herbs sect whole." Nana trembles, thinking their judgment day had not yet arrived. But when the intruder finally steps into the light, Her jaw drops in absolute disbelief. A wicked, predatory smile spreads across his face. Our protagonist reveals his true identity. "You look surprised," he whispers, savoring her shock. Miles away, the tension breaks. A guard stretches and yawns, celebrating the end of his shift. "Finally," he groans. "Time to eat." His partner shivers in the cold, dreaming of steaming hot pot. They speculate on their master, Lord Joe, imagining him feasting on a banquet fit for an emperor. Little do they know, a predator walks among them. Using the shadow cloud step, our hero glides past them, silent as a ghost, completely undetected. He clutches a pulsating talisman. Doubt creeps in. Is this truly the location of the elusive Joe Ama? Suddenly, an origami butterfly flutters from his hand. It hovers ominously before a single door, marking the target. He trusts the magic and enters, but the room feels wrong. The spiritual signature is missing. Where is he? He wonders, scanning the empty space. In reality, the Lord is living in squalor. The man is slurping cheap instant noodles in a filth-ridden room. He laments his cursed existence, trapped in a cycle of helplessness. As he chokes down the noodles, bitterness rises. Did he not deserve the mansion? Did he not deserve the feast? He stares at his plastic fork. Why? He asks the silent room. How did my life end up in this gutter? Hatred boils in his veins. He suffers simply for wearing the face of another man. A dark memory surfaces, the real Joe Ama keeping him bound like a dog in a car. The boss's eyes were cold and merciless. "You know the consequences," he had hissed. "One mistake, and the secret dies with you." The words cut deeper than a knife. "You are nothing but a counterfeit," the boss spat. "I keep you alive only because you are useful." Tears of humiliation had stained his face then, but now, back in the present, rebellion sparks. He stares at the forbidden box he was ordered never to touch. "Screw him," he mutters. He throws the lid open instantly. The origami butterfly within erupts with a blinding emerald light. The paper construct takes flight. The double stumbles back, terrified. What the hell is this magic? A shadow detaches from the wall behind him. Who's there? The fake screams. Bam! A fist like a sledgehammer connects with his face, sending him flying. He crashes to the floor, world spinning. Above him, our hero stands like a judgment god, eyes cold and calculating. The pieces fit together. "No wonder I sense no power," the protagonist muses. "Do you know who I am?" Terror seizes the double. He recognizes the face from the party. "I am Joe Ama." He lies desperately. "Back off." But the hero just glares. "Drop the act. You're nothing but a hollow shell." Crimson energy flares in the protagonist's eyes, voice dripping with menace. He issues a command. "Tell me where the real Joe Ama is. Now." Meanwhile, in the belly of the city, danger brews. A squad of ruthless enforcers lurks in a dark alley, weapons ready. The leader growls into his phone. The rat always takes his path. The trap is set. There is no escape. He swears a brutal oath. "I'll shatter his limbs and deliver him to Lord Joe wrapped in a bow." Unaware, or perhaps unbothered, our hero strolls calmly toward the jaws of the trap. His mind is elsewhere, contemplating higher mysteries. He ponders the existence of a spiritual item and the terrifying power behind it. Is a fourth stage cultivator pulling the strings? A spiritual item is no trinket. It is a weapon of mass destruction, forged with immense concentrations of pure energy. To create such a masterpiece requires godlike control. Only a fourth stage master could achieve this, he thinks. But then, a realization strikes him. Unless the Ama family possesses a legendary spiritual spring. If that is true, the game has just changed completely. With Ama finally dealt with, his path was clear. Next stop, the Ryuta Spring. It was time to evolve and ascend to the next level. But peace is a luxury he can't afford. Shadows coalesce in the alleyway as a kill squad surrounds him. The leader sneers, checking his watch. "Took you long enough to show up, kid." The air grows heavy with bloodlust. Yamori stands his ground, scanning the thugs waiting to collect the bounty on his head. "Someone paid a mountain of cash to erase you." The leader scoffs. But Yamori doesn't flinch. A terrifying purple aura flares around him as a cold smirk cuts across his face. The leader's confidence falters for a split second. That look, it isn't fear, it's amusement. and it absolutely infuriates him. Kill him. Rage distorts the leader's face. Get him now. The mob charges, screaming like banshees, warning Yamori to prepare for his end. A cocky grin returns to the boss's face. I brought my elite fighters for this. He boasts. You don't stand a chance against my best men. But in a heartbeat silence, Yamori moves like a phantom. Bodies hit the floor before the leader can even blink. His jaw hits the pavement, brain unable to process the slaughter. Crack. Yamori's fist connects with sickening precision, sending a thug crumbling to the asphalt like a broken doll. One blow. That's all it takes. Another enemy is obliterated by the sheer pressure of his strike, the alley shaking from the overwhelming force. Monster. Are you even human? The leader shrieks, trembling. Standing over the groaning pile of failures, Yamori's voice drops to absolute zero. Who gave the order? Meanwhile, chaos reigns at the Nanahosh residence. The sanctuary lies in ruins, expensive furniture smashed and debris scattered everywhere. Yuki bursts onto the scene, heart pounding. Her men are already sweeping the wreckage. A guard rushes over, tablet in hand. Lady Yuki, we found footage from the roof. At 1 a.m, he reports gravely. 2 monks raided the terrace and took Lady Nana by force. The guard hesitates, swallowing hard. There were 3 intruders total, and the third one, he didn't wear a mask. Yuki freezes as the video plays. Her eyes widen in betrayal. That face. It's the man from the party. There's no mistaking it. Yamori is staring back at her from the screen with a twisted smile. Later, a sleek limousine screeches to a halt in a high-end district. Phone grip tight enough to crack the screen. Yuki steps out. She's on a warpath. She will find him, and she will make him pay. Ping. A photo and address light up her device, 4302 Emiya Street. She looks up at the mansion, fury blazing in her eyes like an inferno. Found you. The betrayal burns hotter than the rage. How could Yamori dare to touch her family? Suddenly, Faki steps out, nursing a broken arm. Can I help you? He asks warily. Yuki ignores the pleasantries, her glare sharp enough to cut glass. Take me to Yamori, now. Assuming she's been kidnapped too, Faki sighs. Right this way. He leads her inside. He's in the main hall right now. The doors open to a hive of activity. Men are working diligently. Yuki scans the room. Are these all his underlings? A former gang leader approaches, offering water. Yamori sits relaxed in his chair, unbothered by the world. Hearing footsteps, he turns lazily. Shock flickers in his eyes. Yuki doesn't wait. She lunges like a viper. Where is she? She screams. Release my aunt before I burn this place down. Yamori blinks, completely blindsided. What are you talking about? The accusation hangs heavy in the air. She gets right in his face, aura flaring with menace. Don't play games. Why did you take her? Yamori frowns, eyes narrowing. You think I kidnapped someone? Stop lying. Yuki roars. She shoves her tablet at him. The camera doesn't lie. On screen, a man identical to Yamori stands amidst the ruins with Nana. But the smile? It's wicked. Cruel. A look Yamori has never worn. The pieces click into place. Yamori's expression hardens. Someone is impersonating him. It's a frame-up. Bring her back, Yuki hisses, power gathering at her fingertips, or I will destroy you right here and now. It wasn't me, Yamori states calmly, voice steady as a rock. I have no reason to raid your house in the dead of night. Yuki pauses, the conviction in his voice shaking her resolve. The ex-chief steps in, pulling up chat logs with Lord Joe. He was here. Look at the timestamps. Doubt creeps in, but the video is damning. Then explain the footage, she demands, voice trembling. That is your face. Yamori pulls up his own video evidence. A recording from another location plays. On it, a fake admits the truth. He's just a double posing as the real Joe. The real boss, Yamori explains, uses a special artifact or ring that lets him disguise himself as anyone, even a lowly guard. Yuki's jaw drops. Transformations, is that even possible? With a high-tier spiritual item? Yes, Yamori confirms. Yuki reels back. Lord Joe possesses a treasure that rare. The danger just skyrocketed. His plan was simple. Yamori continues. Wear my face. Commit the crime. Watch us destroy each other. Pure fury erupts from Yuki. I'll kill him, she screams, turning to leave. Wait, Yamori grabs her arm. If you go now, your aunt dies. She collapses, tears welling up. Then what do? I can't just stand here. Yamori's eyes gleam with a tactical light. We don't react, we counterattack. A ruthless smirk curls Yamori's lips. We're gonna make Joe dig his own grave. Meanwhile, miles away, a darker scene unfolds. A man in white drains the life from a screaming victim. The victim twitches once, then goes still. The villain wipes his mouth, the dark ritual complete. Trash. The attacker spits, looking at the husk. The energy of a commoner is tasteless, bland. A rotund monk steps from the shadows. Patience, young master song. Ordinary cattle cannot satisfy a dragon's hunger. He continues his vile report, stating his brother has secured the woman and she is ready for the master to devour at his leisure. Young Master Song trembles with excitement. Once he breaks through the first stage, a coveted seat on the council will finally be his. The rotund monk bows low, thanking the young master for this golden opportunity. But then, another disciple rushes in to report that they have captured our hero and await orders. A cruel laugh escapes young Master Song's lips. He commands them to drag the prisoner to Gaian Temple, but warns them strictly to keep him alive. His expression twists into pure malice. He vows to rip out the protagonist's tongue with his own hands. The scene shifts to the ominous Gaian Temple, where a group of suit-clad thugs stands guard, waiting for the main event. A ponytailed enforcer barks at the others to shut up, reminding them they aren't paid to chat. Another goon mocks his colleague for taking the job so seriously. Suddenly, the ponytail guy's expression changes to a smirk. The wait is over. Young Master Song has finally arrived. Radiating arrogance, young Master Song strides forward as his lackeys bow. One bold subordinate approaches, asking why the boss came to inspect things personally. He orders Zhongxiang to dispose of all communication devices immediately. The thug freezes, utterly confused by the command. The villain's gaze turns ice cold. He asks quietly if he now needs a subordinate's approval to give orders. Terrified, the goon scrambles to obey, leading the men down the mountain. Young Master Song stares at the horizon, sensing a strange disturbance in the air. As he leaves, Zhongxiang realizes something chilling. The boss has never called him by his name before today. With the perimeter cleared, a white van speeds away from the temple. Moments later, our protagonist is dragged from the vehicle, his hands bound tight. A masked enforcer glares daggers at him. He warns the captive to behave and not try any tricks. Flanked by monks, young Master Song greets our hero with a twisted smile. Yamare instantly recognizes the face of Songxian and demands to know his plan. The villain scoffs, asking if the fool ever imagined a day like this would come. With a wicked grin, he mocks Yamare's lost courage. Rage boils over as he calls the hero an insect for daring to speak to Ning Qingshu at the banquet. He points a trembling finger at our hero. His biggest mistake was letting this pest live as long as he has. Our protagonist presses for answers. Is Zheng Winky involved? Why is he being hunted like an animal? Songxian lets out a dark chuckle, exploding with hatred. He yells that a piece of trash like Yamare being engaged to Ning Qingshu is an unforgivable stain on his life. Yamori looks at him with pity. Does this guy really want to commit murder over something so petty? A purple aura erupts around the villain. Killing him now would be a waste. Instead, he summons a terrifying shadow creature to demonstrate a divine miracle. Our hero stares at the writhing darkness. Is this some kind of forbidden summoning art? The villain reveals his master plan. He will feed old Jonai to the shadow to achieve immortality. He declares he will become the very god this world worships. Yamori remains calm. If that is the plan, why keep him alive instead of finishing him off right now? The villain explains with a sneer. Ning Qingshu is searching for him, and he left a trail of evidence on purpose. He is crafting a perfect narrative to the world. Our hero will be the kidnapper and murderer of Jonai, while the real culprit remains in the shadows. A smirk curls Yamare's lips. He notes that the villain really just confessed everything out loud. Songxian freezes, confused by the reaction. Suddenly, our protagonist snaps the ropes like thread and asks the person beside him if they heard every word. The masked goon rips off their disguise. It is Ning Qingshu, and her expression is a storm of fury. Her eyes glow with intense blue energy. She yells that she heard every single disgusting word. Terrified, Songxian stammers that it was just a joke, but Ning Qingshu's blue aura flares violently as she demands her aunt's release immediately. Consumed by rage, she vows that the Song family will pay dearly for this treachery. Cornered and furious, the villain screams that our hero tricked him into confessing. Yamori shrugs off the accusation. He did not trick anyone, the idiot confessed on his own. With a serious gaze, he has just one thing to add. His eyes glow with a menacing crimson light. He calls the villain a fool for revealing the entire plan to his enemy. Songshan roars in rage, his eyes flaring blue as he prepares to strike. Ning Qingshu steps in, announcing the Zhou family is en route and telling our hero to escape. She warns him to stay back. These opponents possess dangerous cultivation methods that a normal person cannot handle. Seeing them whisper so intimately only throws fuel on the villain's burning jealousy. Blinded by hatred, he points at our hero and orders his monks to execute him. Ning Qingshu shields him with her blue aura, daring them to try. The two monks lunge forward, their bodies wreathed in white battle aura. The villain pulls out his phone with a cruel sneer. He threatens to execute her aunt instantly. She must choose protect her lover or save her family. Yamori places a hand on her shoulder, telling her not to worry. The young woman looks at him, bewildered by his calm demeanor. With eyes as calm as the still lake, he pulls out his own phone to show her something that will change everything. The hero drops a bombshell, a photo of Jonah, safe and sound. Songxian's eyes nearly pop out of his skull. He screams in denial, claiming his men had the place on absolute lockdown. But the main character isn't done. He flashes a second photo. The cell is empty. The bird has officially flown the coop, proving the villain's failure. Rewind 15 minutes. We see the heavy artillery guarding Jonah at the base of the mountain. Tension is thick enough to cut with a knife. Young Master Song barks orders to hold position, but amidst the goons, one man plays dumb. He claims he needs to make a call and tells the squad to stay put. Once he slips into the shadows, the act drops. He checks for tails, then fires off a text to our hero. The plan worked perfectly. Betrayal never tasted so sweet. Back in the heat of the moment, Songxian explodes with purple energy. He roars in fury, realizing his own lackey sold him out to the enemy. Ning Qingshu watches in awe. He saved her aunt without breaking a sweat. She starts calculating the sheer brilliance of his strategy. She stares at his back, doubt creeping in. Is this really the same useless Yaorei she grew up with? The man before her is a stranger? Consumed by hatred, Songxian snaps. He orders his two monk enforcers to slaughter the hero while he claims the girl. The goons lunge forward with killing intent. Before she can react, the villain unleashes a wave of purple chi. His shadow technique binds her instantly, trapping the young woman in darkness. Paralyzed and helpless, she's forced to watch. The villain sneers, demanding she witness the execution. Desperate, she screams for Yaorei to run for his life. The two monks close the distance, eager for blood. Songxian spits at the girl's feet, mocking her weakness. She can't protect a single thing. Guilt crashes over her like a tidal wave. She was a fool to underestimate this monster, and even more foolish to follow him into the lion's den. Our hero is boxed in, the monks striking from all sides, but in a split-second impact, he blocks their strikes effortlessly, leaving the attackers dumbfounded. He doesn't give them time to breathe. With a grip like iron, he clamps his hand onto one monk's skull. Boom! A devastating knee strike crushes the goon's face. Without pausing, he activates the Shadow Cloud step, vanishing and reappearing behind the second target. Ning Qingshu's jaw hits the floor. Since when did he possess such terrifying power? It defies all logic. The second monk is blasted backward, skidding across the dirt. But suddenly, the first fallen enemy begins to liquefy, melting into a grotesque sludge. The puddle glows gold, swirling with magic. In the blink of an eye, it reforms back into the monk. The monk snarls, revealing a rare substitution talisman saved his life. But our protagonist just glares, his eyes glowing a menacing crimson. Round 2 begins now. Power erupts. Wrapped in a blazing blue aura, the hero launches himself at the monk with godlike speed. Songxian gasps. That speed is inhuman. The truth finally hits him as our protagonist stands bathed in the light of his cultivation. The hero's expression is cold as ice. He drops the facade once and for all. I am also a cultivator. Ning Qingshu stares at the blue energy swirling at his feet, her mind blown. A cultivator. All this time our hero smirks. He's been waiting for this showdown. Lethal blue chi coats his fist, crackling with intensity. He raises his guard, ready to end this once and for all. Memories flood his mind. The false imprisonment, the beatings, the time they kidnapped his best friend and tortured his dog. And finally, he thinks of Ning Qingshu, the woman this scum dared to claim as his own. Kaori speaks, his voice trembling with suppressed rage. You've been buzzing in my ear like a fly for too long. His red eyes flash dangerously. I'm done tolerating you. It is time to silence you forever.